Among the 45 articles Arlington voters will be asked to decide on during this year's coming town meeting season are three that deal directly with climate change. Or maybe make that climate mitigation. Voters will be asked to approve the creation of a climate mitigation fund, and then to place $50,000 in it to help finance the reduction of carbon dioxide emissions from fossil fuels. And finally, to determine if voters are in favor of reducing those emissions through energy efficiencies, carbon sequestration, and adoption of renewable energy. One of the forces behind getting these three articles on the town's warning is Marty Crane-Gaudreau, a retired professor from Dartmouth College. She told us about the inspiration of these articles during a conversation with her granddaughter several years ago.
There was an event where one of my grandchildren and I were out walking some years ago, and I asked, "What do you plan to do when you grow up?" And the answer was, "It won't matter unless we do something about climate change." And wow, like taking the steam out of your sails, the wind out of your sails. It was like, wow, here is the voice of youth speaking to my generation.
Professor Crane went on to describe what these articles would accomplish if they passed muster: a combination of tax savings and avoiding the worser-case climate scenarios are the rewards that await, she says.
Another issue was the cost of taxes, to be honest with you. Looking at the amounts of money, when I really started looking at this issue, I looked at the town reports and looked at the amounts of money that we were spending on fuel oil, heating oil, for town hall, we in Arlington also pay for the heating the fire departments, the town garage, and essentially there was a lot of money that was being spent on those issues. And there's a fair amount of electricity. For example, town hall in the summertime, besides electricity for lighting, we use the old-fashioned kinds of air conditioners, that you set in a window, which are not particularly efficient. So Arlington taxpayers have been paying for this, and it's the way it's been. It's just the way it's been. But when you're sitting on an energy committee and you do assessments of this sort of thing, you realize that we're spending money on that we don't need to be spending. I thought, essentially, if we just sit on our hands and do nothing, it's going to take several years for the select board to feel comfortable going out and putting money in the budget for all of these different things. So why not be bold?
The articles come against the background of the work of Vermont's Climate Council, which last December published a report outlining more than 200 steps the state could take to reduce its carbon emissions output and help make a contribution to lowering the warming of the planet. The state legislature is now working to turn these recommendations into legislation. And climate concerns have, of course, been much in the news in recent years as more evidence accumulates about the impact of a warmer planet on weather patterns. More recently, Arlington was one of the sites in Bennington County where the Window Dressers Project, which built to order sets of insulating window inserts to reduce heating costs for area residents, was held. It all goes to show that even if Vermont is only one small state, every contribution matters, Marty Crane said.
A lot of people are overwhelmed by the concept of climate change. They'll say, well, what can I do about it? Well, this is something that every voter in Arlington can take a little bit of pride and so on in being able to do something about climate change and allow themselves to think about it and think about other things that they might be able to do. So I see this as I said, it's a win-win situation for Arlington and the people who live here.
Voters in Arlington will get to discuss these articles during their informational meeting planned for Monday, February 28th, which starts at 6:30 p.m. at the Arlington Memorial High School gym. Voting on articles to be decided by Australian ballot will be held on Tuesday, March 1st, starting at 10 a.m., also at the high school gym. For the GNAT-TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.